Marcus Bennett stood in his corner office on the 50th floor of the Bennett Industries building, staring out at the New York skyline. His Italian suit felt tight around his neck, and he loosened his tie. Another late night at the office. The board meeting had gone longer than expected, and now it was nearly midnight. He picked up his phone to call his driver, but remembered George had taken the week off for his daughter's wedding. Marcus sighed and looked at his watch. He needed to get home and prepare for tomorrow's merger presentation. "Guess I'll have to catch a cab," he muttered to himself, grabbing his briefcase. The security guard nodded as Marcus walked through the lobby. "Working late again, Mr. Bennett?" "You know how it is, Joe, the work never stops." Outside, the autumn air was crisp. Marcus pulled his coat tighter and walked to the curb, raising his hand to hail a passing yellow cab. The car pulled up smoothly, and he opened the door, sliding into the back seat. "Good evening. 75th and Park, please." "Sure thing," the driver replied, and Marcus froze. That voice, it couldn't be. He leaned forward, looking at the driver's ID displayed on the dashboard. Angela Washington. His heart stopped. 25 years melted away in an instant. Suddenly he was back at Columbia University, sitting next to the most beautiful girl he'd ever seen in his Economics 101 class. Angela with her bright smile and quick wit. Angela who had tutored him through statistics. Angela who had stolen his heart that spring semester of their sophomore year. Angela? His voice came out barely above a whisper. The cab swerved slightly before straightening. In the rearview mirror, he caught her eyes widening with recognition. Marcus Bennett. Well, I'll be damned. The years had been kind to her. Her hair was shorter now, styled in neat braids, and there were a few laugh lines around her eyes, but her smile was exactly as he remembered it. I can't believe it's you," Marcus said. "How long has it been?" 25 years, give or take a few months." Angela turned smoothly onto Park Avenue. "Last time I saw you was graduation day, 1999. The memories came flooding back. Their secret relationship that had lasted almost 2 years. Study sessions that turned into long talks about their dreams. Stolen kisses in the library stacks. And then the painful end, when reality had crashed into their college romance. Angela, I've thought about you so many times over the years. What happened to you? Last I heard you were heading to law school." She laughed, but there was a touch of sadness in it. "Life had other plans, got pregnant my first year of law school. Michael came first, so I had to drop out. Been driving cabs ever since, it pays the bills." Marcus felt like someone had punched him in the gut. "You have a son?" "He's 24 now, just finished his master's in engineering." The pride in her voice was unmistakable. "Single, Mum, but we made it work." The cab stopped at a red light and Angela turned to look at him properly. "And look at you, CEO of Bennett Industries. I see your name in the business section all the time. Married? Divorced? 10 years now, no kids." He didn't mention how his marriage to Catherine had been more of a business merger than a romance, arranged by their families to combine 2 corporate empires. "The company keeps me busy. Still working too hard, I see. Some things never change." The old teasing tone in her voice made his heart skip a beat. How many times had she scolded him for studying too late, dragging him away from his books to get pizza at their favorite spot near campus? "Do you remember Tony's Pizza?" he asked suddenly. "On 116th Street. "Of course I do. Best slice in Morningside Heights. You used to order pepperoni and mushroom," they said together, and both laughed. The cab pulled up in front of his building, and Marcus found himself not wanting to get out. "Angela, would you like to get coffee sometime, catch up properly?" There was a long pause. In the mirror he could see her wrestling with the decision. "I don't know, Marcus. That was a long time ago. We're different people now. Please, just coffee, as old friends." She pulled out a small notepad and wrote something down. "Here's my number, but I want you to think about something first. Remember why we ended things back then? Your family, my background, all those complications, they haven't gone away. If anything, the gap between our worlds is even bigger now." Marcus took the paper, his fingers brushing against hers. The same spark he'd felt 25 years ago shot through him. "I'm not the same naive college kid anymore, Angela, And I don't care about any of that now. She smiled, but it was guarded. We'll see. Give me a call if you still want that coffee after you've thought it through. Marcus stepped out of the cab, watching as it pulled away into the night traffic. He looked down at the paper in his hand, Angela's neat handwriting bringing back memories of study notes and love letters passed in class. Up in his penthouse apartment, he walked past the expensive furniture and floor-to-ceiling windows without seeing them. His mind was 25 years in the past, remembering their last conversation. His father's threats to cut him off, her pride and refusal to be the reason he lost his inheritance, their tearful goodbye at graduation. He pulled out his phone and saved her number, then poured himself a drink. Tomorrow he had to present a billion-dollar merger to the board. But all he could think about was the way Angela's eyes still crinkled when she smiled. In her cab, Angela sat at a red light, her hands shaking slightly on the steering wheel. Of all the fares in New York City, it had to be Marcus Bennett who got into her cab tonight. She touched her chest, feeling her heart racing beneath her uniform shirt. She thought about her small apartment in Queens, the bills piling up on her kitchen table, her son's student loans. A world away from Marcus's life of penthouses and board meetings. But when she'd heard his voice for just a moment, she was 19 again, falling in love with a boy who saw past her scholarship status and hand-me-down clothes. The light turned green, and Angela pushed thoughts of Marcus aside. She had 3 more hours on her shift, and rent was due next week. She couldn't afford to get lost in old memories, no matter how sweet they were. But as she drove through the glittering city streets, she couldn't help wondering if he would really call. Marcus couldn't sleep that night. He kept looking at Angela's number in his phone, remembering how it felt to see her again. When his alarm went off at 6, he'd barely closed his eyes. His sister Rebecca called while he was getting dressed. "Are you ready for the board meeting?" she asked. "Dad's going to be there." Marcus paused in the middle of tying his tie. "Dad's coming. He hasn't been to a board meeting in 5 years." "Well, it's a big merger, and you know how he gets when anything involves the Whitmore family." Marcus did know. Richard Bennett had been trying to merge with Whitmore Technologies since before Marcus was born. Now that it was finally happening, of course the old man would come out of retirement to watch. "Just don't let him take over," Rebecca warned. "You're the CEO now, not him." After hanging up, Marcus looked at Angela's number again. Before he could talk himself out of it, he pressed call. "Hello?" Her voice was sleepy. "Angela, I'm sorry, did I wake you?" "Marcus." She sounded more alert now. "It's 6 in the morning. I know, I'm sorry, I couldn't wait. Would you have coffee with me today, after my board meeting?" There was a pause, and he held his breath. "You really don't waste time, do you?" He could hear the smile in her voice. "I have to pick up my son from the airport at 4. He's coming home for a visit. But I could meet you at 2. 2 is perfect. There's a coffee shop called Blue Cup on Madison Avenue." "Blue Cup?" Angela laughed. "Marcus, I can't afford their $5 coffee. How about the diner on 82nd Street? Marcus felt his face heat up. "Of course, sorry, the diner is perfect." After they hung up, he stared at his reflection in the mirror. What was he doing? He had the biggest meeting of his career in 3 hours, and all he could think about was Angela. The board meeting started at 9. Marcus sat at the head of the long table, watching as the members filed in. His father came in last, looking exactly the same as always in his perfectly pressed suit. "Marcus," Richard Bennett said, shaking his hand firmly. "Big day." "Dad, glad you could make it." James Whitmore sat across from them, his daughter Victoria beside him. She smiled at Marcus, flipping her blonde hair over her shoulder. They'd known each other since they were children, and there had always been hints from both families that they should get together. "Let's begin," Marcus said, standing up. He started his presentation about the merger, but his mind kept wandering to his afternoon plans. Halfway through, his father interrupted. "What about the Asian market? Have you considered—" "I was getting to that, Dad." Marcus tried to keep his voice steady. "If you'll let me continue." Richard sat back, frowning. Marcus could feel everyone's eyes on him as he finished the presentation. "Very impressive," James Whitmore said when he was done. "I think this merger will benefit both our companies greatly." Victoria touched Marcus's arm as everyone was leaving. We should celebrate. How about dinner tonight? I can't tonight. I have plans, his father overheard. Plans? What could be more important than dinner with the Whitmores? It's personal, Dad. Richard's eyes narrowed. Just don't do anything to jeopardize this merger, son. We've waited too long for this. Marcus walked back to his office, loosening his tie. His assistant Janet rushed in with a stack of papers. The legal team needs these signed by 5, and Mrs. Whitmore called to confirm the charity gala next week. Also, your mother wants to know if you're coming to Sunday dinner. Janet, clear my schedule after 1 today. Something's come up. At 1:30, Marcus changed into a casual shirt and slacks. He felt nervous, like he was going on a first date. In a way, he was. The diner was busy when he arrived. Angela was already there, sitting in a booth by the window. She was wearing jeans and a simple blue sweater, her braids pulled back neatly. She looked more beautiful than any of the society women he usually spent time with. "You came," she said. As he sat down, "Of course I came." He wanted to reach across the table and take her hand, but he held back. "You look wonderful. And you look tired. Rough meeting?" "My father showed up. He has a way of making me feel like I'm still 16 and disappointing him." Angela nodded. "Some things really don't change. Remember when he caught us at that party junior year? How could I forget? He gave me a lecture about appropriate relationships and family responsibilities that lasted 3 hours. The waitress came and they ordered coffee. Angela stirred cream into hers just like she used to in college. "Tell me about your son," Marcus said. Her face lit up. "Michael is amazing. He worked so hard to get through school. Full scholarship to MIT just like I had to Columbia. He's been in California for his master's program, but he got a job offer back here in New York. That's why he's coming home today." "So you did it all on your own?" His father wasn't in the picture. "Left when he found out I was pregnant." She shrugged. "But we managed. I worked 2 jobs while Michael was little. The cab company lets me set my own hours, which helped when he was in school." Marcus felt a wave of admiration and regret. While he'd been building his fortune and living in luxury, she'd been raising a child alone and working multiple jobs. "I should have looked for you," he said quietly. "After graduation. I've regretted letting you go every day since then." Angela's eyes softened. "Marcus." His phone buzzed. A message from his father. "Emergency board meeting called for 4 p.m. Whitmore raising concerns." "Damn it," he muttered. "Work calling?" "Yes. I'm sorry, I have to go." He hesitated. "Angela, have dinner with me tomorrow night, please." She bit her lip. "I don't know. Michael just got home and bring him. I'd love to meet him. You want to have dinner with a cab driver and her son? What would your father say?" Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. Her skin was warm against his. "I don't care what my father says. Not anymore. I lost you once because I cared too much about what other people thought. I'm not making that mistake again." Angela looked at their joined hands. "Okay," she said finally. "Dinner tomorrow. But somewhere normal. Not one of your fancy restaurants. I know just the place." He smiled. "Do you remember that little Italian restaurant in the village where we had our first date? Bella Luna, it's still there." "Still there." 7 o'clock. She squeezed his hand. 7 o'clock. As Marcus hurried back to his office, his phone buzzed again. This time it was Victoria Whitmore. "Marcus, we need to talk. This merger is very important to both our families. Maybe we should discuss how to make it even more permanent." He ignored the message. Let his father and the Whitmores worry about their precious merger. For the first time in 25 years, Marcus felt truly alive again. In her cab that afternoon, Angela picked up a fare heading to JFK. As she drove, she thought about Marcus, about the way he'd looked at her across the diner table. She thought about their plans for tomorrow night. "You're crazy," she told her reflection in the rearview mirror. "He lives in a different world." But her heart wasn't listening to reason. It was too busy remembering how right his hand had felt holding hers, just like it had 25 years ago. Angela waited at the airport arrival gate, checking her watch nervously. Michael's flight from San Francisco had landed 20 minutes ago. She smoothed down her shirt, wishing she'd had time to change after her shift. Finally, she saw him coming through the crowd. At 6'2", Michael towered over her now, but his smile was still the same one she'd loved since he was a baby. Mom, he wrapped her in a big hug. You look tired. Are you working too hard again? Look who's talking, Mr. Master's degree. She touched his face. You've lost weight, haven't you been eating? Graduate school diet, Mom, ramen noodles and coffee. As they walked to her cab, Michael told her about his new job at a tech startup in Manhattan. The salary's amazing, Mom. First thing I'm doing is paying off those student loans. You'll do no such thing. Those are my loans. Our loans, he corrected, and I'm paying them. Also, you're retiring from the cab company. No arguments. Angela thought about her coffee with Marcus earlier. Actually, something happened today. I ran into someone from my past. Oh? Michael loaded his bags into the trunk. Who? Marcus Bennett. Michael stopped what he was doing. Marcus Bennett, the CEO of Bennett Industries, that Marcus Bennett. We dated in college, Angela said quietly, for almost 2 years. Wait, what? Michael stared at her. You dated a billionaire? He wasn't a billionaire then. Just a boy I tutored in statistics who turned out to be something special. She hesitated. He wants us to have dinner with him tomorrow night. Us? Mom, what's going on? Nothing's going on, it's just dinner. At the Italian restaurant where we had our first date. Michael's eyes narrowed. You remember where you had your first date? Before Angela could answer, her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Looking forward to tomorrow night. Been thinking about you all day. Michael caught her smile as she read it. Mom, be careful. Rich guys like that. They don't usually have good intentions when it comes to women like us. Women like us? You know what I mean. Working class. And black. Angela's smile faded. Marcus isn't like that. He never was. Then, why didn't it work out the first time? She didn't answer. How could she explain to her son the pain and complexity of that time, the pressure from Marcus's family, the whispers and stares on campus, her own pride that wouldn't let her be the reason he lost everything? Meanwhile, across town, Marcus sat in his second board meeting of the day. Victoria Whitmore was presenting a counter-proposal to the merger terms. Furthermore, she said, looking directly at Marcus, we believe a more personal union between our families would strengthen this business relationship. Marcus felt his father's eyes on him. He knew what they wanted, a marriage of convenience to seal the corporate alliance. 6 months ago, he might have considered it. Now, with Angela back in his life, the idea made him feel sick. The terms as they stand are fair, he said firmly. We don't need to complicate things with personal matters. Don't be hasty, son, Richard Bennett cut in. Victoria's suggestion has merit. I said no, Dad. The room went quiet. Marcus Bennett never said no to his father. After the meeting, Richard followed Marcus to his office. What's gotten into you? The Whitmores are offering everything we've worked for. Maybe I want more than just what you've worked for. More? You're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. What more could you want? Marcus thought of Angela's smile in the diner. Something real. His father's eyes narrowed. What aren't you telling me? I have dinner plans tomorrow night. Cancel them. We're having dinner with the Whitmores. No, we're not. Marcus stood up. I'm having dinner with Angela Washington and her son. Richard's face went pale. Angela Washington, that scholarship girl from college, the one I was in love with, the one you threatened to destroy if I didn't end things. I did what was best for this family, for your future. No, you did what was best for the company. There's a difference. Marcus walked to the door. I'm leaving early. I have some shopping to do before tomorrow night. At home that evening, Angela helped Michael unpack. Her small apartment felt crowded with his bags, but her heart was full having him home. Tell me more about this Marcus Bennett, he said, sorting his laundry. What really happened between you two? Angela sat on his bed picking up an old photo from his nightstand. It showed them at his high school graduation, both beaming with pride. We met sophomore year at Columbia. I was there on full scholarship, working 2 jobs to cover expenses. He was this handsome rich boy who was failing statistics. She smiled at the memory. I tutored him. We fell in love, and for almost 2 years nothing else mattered. Not our different backgrounds, not his family's disapproval. Nothing. What changed? His father found out how serious we were. threatened to cut Marcus off completely. Not just money. He would have lost his whole future, everything he'd worked for. She put the photo down. I couldn't let him give up his dreams for me, so I ended it. Michael sat beside her. And now? Now I'm a 50-year-old cab driver with graying hair and bills to pay. And he's still in love with you? Michael suggested gently. Angela thought about how Marcus had looked at her in the diner, how his hand had felt holding hers. It's complicated. Life's complicated, Mom, but maybe that's not always a bad thing. Her phone buzzed again. Another text from Marcus. Found something today that made me think of you. A first edition of Pride and Prejudice. Remember how you used to read it between classes? Angela smiled, tears in her eyes. He remembered. After all these years, he remembered her favorite book. Mom? Michael was watching her face. Just promise me you'll be careful with your heart, okay? I will. She hugged him tight. When did you get so wise? I had a good teacher. Later that night, Angela lay in bed, unable to sleep. Tomorrow she would have dinner with Marcus Bennett, the boy she'd loved, now a powerful man, the boy she'd given up to protect, now seemingly ready to risk everything to be with her again. You're not 19 anymore, she told herself. You can't just fall back in love like nothing's changed. But as she drifted off to sleep, she wondered if maybe her heart had never really fallen out of love in the first place. The next evening, Angela stood in front of her mirror, trying on her third outfit. Michael sat on her bed, watching with amusement. Mom, you look fine, it's just dinner. She smoothed down the simple black dress she'd bought on sale last year. Maybe I should wear pants instead. The dress is perfect. Michael checked his watch. We should go or we'll be late. They took the subway to the village. Angela had refused to let Marcus send a car, despite his offers. As they walked the familiar streets to Bella Luna, her stomach was filled with butterflies. Marcus was already there waiting outside the restaurant. He'd changed from his business suit into casual clothes, dark jeans and a blue sweater, that made him look more like the college boy she remembered. Angela. His face lit up when he saw her. Then he turned to Michael, extending his hand. You must be Michael. I'm Marcus. Sir. Michael's handshake was firm, his expression guarded. Inside, the restaurant looked exactly as Angela remembered. The same red checkered tablecloths, the same Italian music playing softly, even some of the same waiters. Mario's still here, Marcus said, nodding to the old waiter who'd served them on their first date. I made sure we got his section. Mario recognized them immediately. Madonna, Santa, Angela, and Marcus after all these years? He hugged them both. And who is this handsome young man? My son, Michael, Angela said proudly. Your son. Mamma mia. I feel old now. The usual. Table? As they followed Mario to the corner booth, Angela noticed Michael watching everything carefully. She knew that look. He was trying to figure out Marcus's intentions. So, Michael, Marcus said after they ordered, your mother tells me you just finished your master's at MIT. Impressive. Mom worked 3 jobs to get me through school. That's what's impressive. Marcus's face softened. She always was the hardest worker I knew, used to tutor half our class, while holding down 2 jobs and maintaining a 4.0 GPA. You remember my GPA? I remember everything about you, Angela. The way he looked at her made her heart skip. Michael cleared his throat. Mr. Bennett, please call me Marcus. Marcus, what exactly are your intentions with my mother? Michael, Angela gasped, but Marcus held up his hand. No, it's a fair question. He turned to Michael. 25 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life letting your mother go. I've regretted it every day since. My intentions. He looked at Angela. To make up for lost time if she'll let me. Before anyone could respond, there was a commotion at the front of the restaurant. Victoria Whitmore stood there scanning the room. When she spotted their table, her perfectly made-up face twisted into a sneer. So this is why you've been acting so strange, she said, walking over. Running around with some cab driver? Marcus stood up. Victoria, you need to leave. Does Daddy know about this? What about the merger? The merger is a business deal, nothing more. My personal life is not up for discussion. Victoria's laugh was cruel. Personal life? Please, she's clearly after. Your money. I mean, look at her, look at this place. Michael started to stand, but Angela grabbed his arm. "She's not worth it, baby." "You're right. I'm not worth it." Victoria smirked. "But neither are you, honey, not for someone like Marcus." She turned to him. "When you're done slumming it, call me. You know where to find me." After she stormed out, the restaurant was silent. Then Mario appeared with a bottle of wine. "On the house," he said firmly. "Some people, they never learn class, no matter how expensive their clothes." Marcus sat back down, his face red with anger. "Angela, Michael, I'm so sorry. Is that what your world is like?" Michael asked quietly. "People like her?" "Some of them, but I don't care about that world anymore." Marcus reached for Angela's hand. "I care about this. About us." Angela looked at their joined hands. "Marcus, maybe Victoria's right. Our worlds are too different." "No." His voice was fierce. "Don't let her do this. Don't let anyone come between us again." Michael watched them carefully. Finally, he spoke. "Mom always said you were different from other rich guys, that you saw people for who they were, not what they had. Your mother sees the best in everyone," Marcus said. "It's one of the things I love about her." The word love hung in the air between them. Angela felt tears in her eyes. "I thought I was protecting you back then," she whispered. "From losing everything. You were everything." Marcus squeezed her hand. "I was just too young and stupid to fight for what mattered." Mario appeared with their food, breaking the tension. As they ate, the conversation shifted to lighter topics. Marcus told stories about Angela in college that had Michael laughing. Angela talked about Michael's childhood science experiments. That had nearly blown up their kitchen. By dessert, even Michael had relaxed. When Marcus mentioned his company was looking for engineering talent for their tech division, Michael's eyes lit up. "Actually," Marcus said, "we're launching a new project. Next month, Green Energy Solutions could use someone with fresh ideas." "Marcus," Angela warned, "don't." "It's just a job interview, Angela. He'd have to earn the position like anyone else." Michael sat up straighter. "I'd like that chance, if Mom's okay with it." Angela looked between them, her brilliant son and the man she'd never stopped loving, both looking at her with hope in their eyes. "We'll talk about it," she said finally. After dinner, they walked through the village. The streets were busy with Saturday night crowds, but Angela felt like they were in their own bubble. Michael walked ahead, giving them some privacy. "I meant what I said." "In there," Marcus told her softly, "about making up for lost time." "Marcus, your life is so complicated. The merger, your family, people like Victoria. None of that matters." He stopped walking, turning to face her. "What matters is how I feel when I'm with you, like no time has passed, like I'm finally where I belong." A street musician was playing nearby, an old love song they used to dance. "Two in college," Marcus held out his hand. "Dance with me? Here, on the street?" "Why not? We're already causing scandals. Might as well enjoy it." Angela laughed and took his hand. As they swayed to the music, she rested her head on his shoulder. He still smelled the same, that mix of cologne and something uniquely Marcus. "I've missed you," she whispered. "Every day." He pulled back slightly, looking into her eyes. Then slowly he leaned in and kissed her. It was soft and sweet and felt like coming home. Michael's voice broke the moment. "Mom, it's getting late, and you have an early shift tomorrow." They pulled apart, but Marcus kept hold of her hand. "Let me drive you home." "We'll take the subway," she said firmly, "but call me tomorrow. Try and stop me." As Angela and Michael walked to the subway station, she could feel her son watching her. "You're still in love with him," he said. "It wasn't a question. Maybe I am." She linked her arm through his. "Is that crazy?" "Probably." Michael smiled. "But maybe crazy is exactly what you need." Back at their apartment, Angela found a package waiting at their door. Inside was a first edition of Pride and Prejudice, with a note in Marcus's handwriting. "Some love stories are worth waiting for." She hugged the book to her chest, remembering their kiss on the street. Tomorrow there would be complications to face. His world, her world, all the obstacles that had torn them apart before. But tonight, she just let herself feel happy. The Sunday morning headlines hit like a bomb. Bennett Industries CEO in secret romance with cab driver. Someone had taken pictures of Marcus and Angela's kiss on the street. They were splashed across every gossip site and business paper in the city. Marcus's phone wouldn't stop ringing. His sister Rebecca was the first to get through. "Have you lost your mind?" she demanded. "Dad is having a meltdown. The Whitmores are threatening to pull out of the merger. What were you thinking?" "I was thinking that for once in my life I want to be happy." "Happy? Marcus, this is bigger than your happiness. This is about our family's legacy." He hung up and called Angela. It went straight to voicemail. Across town, Angela sat in her small kitchen, staring at her phone. 27 missed calls from reporters. Her supervisor at the cab company had already called to suggest she take a few days off until things calmed down. Michael came out of his room, holding his laptop. "Mom, you need to see this. The online comments were vicious. Gold digger, trophy girlfriend, trying to trap a billionaire. Some were even worse, filled with racial slurs that made Angela's stomach turn. "I can't do this to him," she whispered. "His whole life is falling apart because of me." "No." Michael's voice was firm. "His life is falling apart because people are racist and classist. Don't you dare blame yourself." Her phone buzzed again. "Marcus, Angela, please pick up. We need to talk." She texted back. "Need some time. Please understand." At Bennett Industries, the board called an emergency Sunday meeting. Marcus sat at the head of the table, tie perfectly straight, face carefully blank as the members argued around him. "The stock is already dropping," one director said. "We need to get ahead of this." "Issue a statement," another suggested. "Say it was just a friendly dinner." Victoria Whitmore stood up. "Our family is willing to overlook this indiscretion if the merger proceeds as planned with the additional terms we discussed." She meant marriage, a business arrangement disguised. "Has romance to save the company's reputation?" "No." Marcus's voice cut through the noise. "I won't deny Angela, and I won't marry someone else to make you all feel better." His father slammed his hand on the table. "Damn it, Marcus, you're not some lovesick teenager anymore. You're the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. Act like it." "Maybe I don't want to be CEO anymore." The room went silent. "What did you say?" Richard Bennett's face was purple with rage. "If I have to choose between this company and being with the woman I love, I choose her." Victoria laughed coldly. "Love? You've known her for what? 2 days?" "I've loved her for 25 years. Marcus stood up. Meeting adjourned. In his office, he found his mother waiting. Eleanor Bennett looked elegant as always, but her eyes were kind. "You look like you could use a drink," she said, pulling out a bottle of scotch from her purse. Marcus took the glass she offered. "You're not here to yell at me?" "No, darling. I'm here to ask you about her." Eleanor sat down. "Tell me about Angela." So he did. He told her about the brilliant scholarship student who'd tutored him in statistics, about their secret study dates that turned into real dates, about how she'd made him want to be better, work harder, be worthy of her belief in him. "She never cared about our money," he finished. "She cared about me, the real me, not the Bennett heir." Eleanor was quiet for a moment. "You know, I was a secretary when your father met me." Marcus stared at her. "What?" "Oh yes." His family was horrified. "But he married me anyway." She smiled sadly. "Sometimes I wonder if that's why he pushes so hard now, to prove we deserve our place in their world." "I don't care about their world anymore, Mom." "I know." She touched his cheek. "Go find her. Fight for her this time." Meanwhile, Angela was cleaning out her locker at the cab company. Her co-workers watched her with a mix of sympathy and curiosity. "Girl, you should have told us you were dating Marcus Bennett," her friend Ruby said. "We've been picking him up from that building for years." "I wasn't dating him. I mean, I am now, but—" Angela sighed. "It's complicated. Life's always complicated, honey, but love, that's simple." As she carried her box to the subway, a sleek black car pulled up beside her. The window rolled down, revealing Victoria Whitmore. "Get in, we need to talk. I don't think we have anything to say to each other. I'm offering you $5 million to disappear from Marcus's life." Angela almost dropped her box. "Excuse me, $10 million if you leave the city entirely." Victoria held up a check. "Think about your son, his future. This is more money than you'd make in 10 lifetimes driving a cab." Angela looked at the check, then at Victoria's smug face. You really don't understand, do you? I never wanted Marcus's money. Not 25 years ago and not now. Everyone wants money, honey. Name your price. My price? Angela leaned down to the window. My price is respect, dignity, love. Things you clearly know nothing about. Keep your money, Ms. Whitmore. I'm not for sale. She walked away, head held high, but her hands were shaking as she swiped her Metro card. At home, she found Michael on the phone, his voice excited. Yes, sir, I understand. Thank you for the opportunity. He hung up, grinning. That was Bennett Industries HR. They want me to come in for an interview tomorrow. Angela's heart sank. Baby, no, not after all this. Mom, this has nothing to do with Marcus. They looked at my resume, my grades. This is about my skills. The timing, is awful, yes, but I'm not letting other people's prejudice stop me from pursuing my dreams. He hugged her. You taught me that. Her phone buzzed. Another text from Marcus. I don't care what anyone says. I love you, Angela. Please let me see you. Michael read the message over her shoulder. You know, for a smart woman, you're being kind of stupid right now. Excuse me? The man is willing to risk everything to be with you. He just declared his love for you in front of the whole city. And you're hiding in our apartment? I'm protecting him. No, you're doing exactly what you did 25 years ago, letting other people decide what's best for him. Michael took her phone and typed a response. What are you doing? Telling him to come over. He hit send. It's time to stop. Running, Mom. 30 minutes later, there was a knock at their door. Angela opened it to find Marcus standing there, looking tired but determined. I should have fought for us back then, he said without preamble. I'm fighting now. Please don't push me away again. Angela felt tears rolling down her cheeks. Your whole life is falling apart because of me. No. He stepped forward, taking her face in his hands. My life is finally coming together. Because of you. Michael quietly slipped into his room, leaving Marcus and Angela alone in the small living room. The sound of traffic floated up from the street below, mixing with the hum of the old air conditioner. I saw Victoria today, Angela said softly. She offered me money to leave town. Marcus's jaw tightened. How much? 10 million. That's all. He tried to smile. I'm a little insulted on your behalf. Marcus, this isn't funny. Your company's stock is falling. The merger... I don't care about the merger. You should care. This is your life's work we're talking about. He took her hands in his. No, the company is my father's life work. 25 years ago, I let him convince me it was mine too, that nothing else mattered. He touched her cheek. I was wrong. A knock at the door interrupted them. Through the peephole, Angela saw an elegant older woman in expensive clothes. Mom? Marcus looked surprised when Angela opened the door. What are you doing here? Eleanor Bennett stepped into the apartment, looking around with interest. I had my driver track you down. Hello, Angela. It's been a long time. Mrs. Bennett. Angela smoothed her dress nervously. Would you like some coffee? That would be lovely, dear. In the tiny kitchen, Angela's hands shook as she prepared the coffee. She remembered Eleanor Bennett from college. Always perfectly, poised, watching her son's relationship with careful eyes. I apologize for the cups, Angela said, bringing out her mismatched set. I don't usually entertain billionaires. You always did have a sharp wit. Eleanor smiled. It was one of the things I liked about you. Marcus and Angela exchanged surprised looks. Oh, don't look so shocked. I wasn't against you two back then, but I knew my husband would never accept it. Eleanor sipped her coffee. He still won't. By the way, he's at the club right now, plotting with the Whitmores. Let him plot, Marcus said. It's not that simple, darling. The Whitmores don't just want out of the merger. They want control of the company. Eleanor set down her cup. They're calling an emergency shareholder meeting. They're going to try to force you out as CEO. They can't do that, Angela protested. Can they? With enough support from other shareholders, yes. Eleanor looked at her son. Your father is furious enough to help them. Michael came out of his room, drawn by the voices. Mr. Bennett, your office called. They confirmed my interview for tomorrow morning. Eleanor turned to him. You must be Michael. I'm Marcus's mother. Ma'am. Michael stood straighter. MIT graduate, I hear. Very impressive. She turned back to Marcus. The green energy project? Marcus nodded. He's perfect for it. I agree. Eleanor stood up. Which is why I've instructed HR to fast-track his application, assuming he passes. The interview, of course. Mom, you can't, Marcus started. I can and I did. The company needs young talent, and it's time we showed the board that qualifications matter more than last names. She walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Angela, the next time someone offers you money to go away, tell them to talk to my lawyers. I have an entire team dedicated to handling harassment suits. After she left, Angela sat down heavily. What just happened? I think, Marcus laughed. I think my mother just chose sides. Michael's phone buzzed. It's all over social media. Our team Angela is trending. What? Angela grabbed his phone. People were sharing their own stories of love across class and racial lines. Pictures of Marcus and Angela's street kiss had been turned into memes about true love conquering all. The public loves a good romance, Marcus said. Especially one. That makes the rich snobs look bad. But what about the shareholders? Actually, Michael was scrolling through his phone. A lot of small shareholders are posting that they support Marcus. They're saying the company needs modern leadership that understands diversity and inclusion. Marcus's phone rang. It was Rebecca. Turn on the business news, she said without preamble. They found an old TV in the kitchen. A financial analyst was speaking. The Bennett-Whitmore merger was always controversial. Many experts felt it would create an unhealthy monopoly. If it falls through because of this romance, Marcus Bennett might accidentally end up saving his company from a bad deal. They're spinning it, Rebecca said. Mom's PR team is amazing. They're painting you as a modern CEO, breaking down old barriers, the kind of leader companies need in today's world. Angela felt overwhelmed. This is crazy. Yesterday I was just a cab driver. You were never just anything, Marcus said softly. Michael cleared his throat. I should go prepare for my interview tomorrow. Wait. Angela grabbed his arm. Are you sure about this? Working for Bennett Industries with all this going on? Mom, my whole life you've taught me not to let other people's prejudice stop me. Were you lying? Of course not. Then let me prove I can succeed on my own merits. He hugged her. Besides, someone needs to help Marcus drag his company into the modern age. After Michael went to his room, Marcus pulled Angela close. I know this is all happening fast. Are you okay? Honestly, I'm terrified. She looked up at him. I'm not used to being in the spotlight, to people judging everything I do. I know. But you're not alone this time. He kissed her forehead. We'll face it together. Her phone buzzed. A message from Ruby at the cab company. Girl, reporters offering money for interviews about you. Told them all to get lost. Nobody messes with our Angela. Tears filled her eyes. I never wanted any of this to cause so much trouble. You're not causing trouble. You're causing change. Marcus wiped her tears away. Remember what you used to tell me in college? That love is the most revolutionary act of all. You remember that? I remember everything about us. He smiled. Including how you used to fall asleep reading Pride and Prejudice between classes. Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. Angela laughed softly. Different worlds, different classes, and love won in the end. Marcus touched her cheek. Stay with me, Angela. Let me show you that we can win too. Outside, camera flashes lit up the street as photographers camped out, hoping for a shot of the couple. In his room, Michael practiced his interview answers while reading about Bennett Industries' green energy plans. And somewhere across town, Richard Bennett and James Whitmore plotted their next move. But in Angela's small living room, none of that mattered. She looked at Marcus, this man who had held her heart for 25 years, who was willing to risk everything to be with her again. Okay, she whispered. Okay, what? Okay. I'll stop trying to protect you. Stop trying to run away. She touched his face. I love you, Marcus Bennett. I never stopped. He pulled her close, kissing her deeply. When they finally broke apart, both were smiling. You know this won't be easy, she said. Nothing worth having ever is. He took her hand. But we're stronger together, and this time I'm not letting you go. Outside, the city hummed with gossip about the billionaire and the cab driver, but inside that small apartment, two hearts that had been separated for 25 years finally beat as one again. The next morning, Michael adjusted his tie in the lobby mirror of Bennett Industries. The building was intimidating, all glass and steel stretching into the sky. Security had to escort him through the crowd of reporters outside. "Michael Washington?" A young HR representative approached him. "Right this way." As they walked to the elevator, he noticed people staring and whispering. Everyone knew who he was now, the son of the woman who had captured Marcus Bennett's heart. The interview panel consisted of 3 senior engineers and the head of the Green Energy Division. They grilled him for 2 hours about his thesis work, his programming skills and his ideas for sustainable technology. "Very impressive, Mr. Washington," the division head said finally. "When can you start?" Michael blinked. "Just like that? Just like that. Your credentials are exactly what we're looking for," the man smiled. "Though I should warn you, some people will say you only got this job because of your mother's relationship with Mr. Bennett." "Let them talk," Michael said firmly. "My work will speak for itself." Meanwhile, Marcus sat in his office reviewing the shareholder meeting agenda. His secretary Janet rushed in. "Sir, your father is here with Mr. Whitmore and Victoria." Before Marcus could respond, they burst into the office. Victoria was wearing a tight red dress that probably cost more than Angela's monthly rent. "This has gone on long enough," Richard Bennett announced. "We have a solution that will save everyone's reputation." "I'm not interested in your solutions." "James," Whitmore stepped forward. "Hear us out. The merger goes through as planned. You and Victoria have a tasteful wedding at the plaza. Nothing too flashy given the circumstances. We issue a statement that your involvement with the cab driver was a brief infatuation, now over." "And Angela?" Marcus's voice was dangerous. "She'll be well compensated," Victoria said smoothly. "We've already drawn up a very generous settlement offer." Marcus stood up slowly. "Get out." "Son, be reasonable," Richard pleaded. "I said get out, all of you." Marcus's shout brought Janet running. "And if anyone tries to buy off Angela again, I'll personally make sure every newspaper in the country knows about it." After they left, Marcus called his mother. "They're getting desperate," Eleanor said, "which means they're dangerous. How many shares does your father still control?" "About 15%. The Whitmores have 20. They'd need another 16 to have a majority. I've been making calls. Most of the old guard are with them, but the younger shareholders support you. It's going to be close." Marcus loosened his tie. "I can't lose the company, Mom, not just for me, but for all our employees. People like Michael who deserve a chance. Then fight for it, but do it your way, not theirs." Across town, Angela was meeting Ruby for lunch at their usual diner. Her friend slid into the booth with an armful of magazines. "You're famous, girl. Look at all these stories about you and Marcus." Angela pushed the magazines away. "I don't want to read what they're saying about me. Actually, a lot of it's pretty good. You're becoming a symbol or something, the American dream, true love, all that stuff." Angela's phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Michael got the job, starting next week." "I had nothing to do with it. He earned it himself." Pride and worry battled in her heart. Her son working at Bennett Industries, right in the middle of all this drama. Ruby read the text over her shoulder. "Your boy's got a corporate job and you're dating a billionaire. When's the wedding?" "Ruby, I'm just saying it's like a fairy tale. Fairy tales don't usually involve hostile takeover attempts." Angela stirred her coffee. "Sometimes I miss my simple life, just driving my cab, coming home to Michael, no cameras following me around. Honey, nothing worth having comes easy." Ruby patted her hand. "Now what are you wearing to this charity gala thing tonight?" Angela choked on her coffee. "What gala?" "It's all over the news. Big charity event at the Met. Marcus Bennett's first public appearance since the scandal broke." Ruby pulled out her phone. "He's taking you, right?" "He hasn't mentioned it." Right on cue, her phone rang. "Marcus, I should have asked you earlier," he said without preamble. "Will you be my date to the Children's Hospital Gala tonight? It's a big fundraiser, lots of press, but also our chance to show everyone that we're not hiding." Angela's heart raced. "I don't have anything to wear to something like that." Already taken care of. My mother's sending over some options. She says you're about the same size she was at your age. Marcus, please, Angela, let me do this. Let us show the world that we're proud to be together." After she hung up, Ruby was grinning. "Girl, you're going to the ball." 2 hours later, Angela stood in her bedroom, surrounded by designer dresses. Eleanor Bennett's personal stylist fussed with her hair while a makeup artist worked on her face. "Mrs. Bennett said the blue one," the stylist said, holding up a stunning midnight blue gown. "It brings out your eyes." Michael leaned against the doorframe, watching the transformation. "You look beautiful, Mum. I feel like an imposter. You're not." He straightened his own tie. He was attending too as a new Bennett Industries employee. "You're exactly where you're meant to be." The gala was being held in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. As their car pulled up, Angela saw the wall of photographers. "Ready?" Marcus squeezed her hand. "No, but let's do it anyway." They stepped out into a storm of camera flashes. Angela felt Marcus's arm steady around her waist as reporters shouted, "Questions. Mr. Bennett, is this a serious relationship?" "Angela, how does it feel to be dating a billionaire? What about the merger?" Marcus guided her past them all, Michael following close behind. Inside, the Met's Grand Hall was filled with New York's elite in designer gowns and tuxedos. The whispers started immediately. Angela could feel the stares, hear the murmured comments. But then she saw Eleanor Bennett walking toward them, smiling warmly. "Angela, darling, you look stunning in that dress." She kissed her cheek. "Now let me introduce you to some people who are dying to meet the woman who's brought my son back to life." For the next hour, Eleanor led them through the crowd. To Angela's surprise, many people were genuinely friendly. Young entrepreneurs praised Marcus for challenging the old guard. Society ladies who remembered Eleanor's own humble beginnings welcomed Angela warmly. But then Victoria Whitmore arrived, wearing a dress that probably cost more than Angela's yearly salary. "Well, well," she said loudly, "I see the circus has come to town." The room went quiet. Angela felt Marcus tense beside her. "Actually," Eleanor's voice cut through the silence, "we were just discussing Angela's work with the Literacy Foundation. Did you know she volunteers teaching reading to underprivileged children? Such important work, don't you think?" Victoria's face reddened as several prominent donors turned to Angela with interest. Charity work was their language, and suddenly, Angela was speaking it. "It's nothing special," Angela said modestly. "Just trying to give back the way others helped me when I was a scholarship student." More people gathered around, asking questions about her volunteer work. Victoria stormed off, clearly furious that her attempt to embarrass Angela had backfired. Later, as they danced, Marcus pulled Angela close. "You're amazing, you know that?" "Your mother's amazing. She's been protecting me all night. She likes you. Says you remind her of herself back when she was fighting her way into this world." Angela looked around the glittering room. "I'm never going to fully belong here." "Good." Marcus kissed her softly. "That's exactly why I love you." As they swayed to the music, Angela caught sight of Michael chatting with some young executives, completely in his element. Her son, finding his place in this new world. Maybe, she thought, she could find her place too, not by becoming someone else, but by being exactly who she was. A woman strong enough to love across all boundaries, brave enough to face down prejudice, and determined enough to fight for her happy ending. The cameras flashed, capturing the moment. Tomorrow it would be in all the papers, the billionaire and the cab driver dancing at the Met. But right now, in Marcus's arms, Angela felt like the only woman in the world. The morning after the gala, Angela woke up to her phone ringing. It was Marcus, his voice tense. "Turn on the news now." She fumbled for the remote, clicking on the small TV in her kitchen. Her heart stopped when she saw the headlines scrolling across the screen. Bennett Industries scandal. Anonymous source claims CEO Marcus Bennett involved in insider trading. What? Angela sat down hard. Marcus, that's not true. Of course it's not. But the timing isn't a coincidence. He sounded exhausted. The shareholder meeting is tomorrow. They're trying to destroy my reputation before the vote. Michael came out of his room, already dressed for his first day at Bennett Industries. "Mom, what's wrong?" She pointed to the TV. His face darkened as he read the headlines. "I shouldn't go in today," he said. "Not with all this happening." "No," Marcus said firmly, overhearing through the phone. "You go in and do your job. Show them. They can't intimidate us." After hanging up, Angela got dressed quickly. She had to see Marcus. Outside her building, reporters were already gathering. "Ms. Washington, did you know about the insider trading? Were you part of the scheme? Is this relationship a cover-up for financial crimes?" She pushed past them, heading for the subway. But a familiar black car pulled up beside her. "Get in," Eleanor Bennett called. "We're going to the office." In the car, Eleanor looked more serious than Angela had ever seen her. "It's worse than they're saying on TV," she said quietly. "Someone accessed old company records, changed some numbers. They're making it look like Marcus has been stealing from the company for years. But there must be proof it's fake. Our tech team is working on it, but the damage is already being done. The stock is falling. Shareholders are panicking." At Bennett Industries, the lobby was chaos. Security had to clear a path for them through the reporters. In the elevator, Eleanor squeezed Angela's hand. "He needs you today. More than ever." They found Marcus in the conference room with his legal team. He looked like he hadn't slept. "The timestamps," he was saying. "If we can prove the records were altered?" He stopped when he saw Angela. The lawyers quietly left the room. "You shouldn't be here," he said softly. "This is going to get ugly. I'm exactly where I should be." She went to him, straightening his crooked tie. "Now tell me how I can help," Rebecca burst in. "The tech team found something." "The altered records, they were accessed using Dad's old password." Marcus's face went pale. "Dad, he wouldn't—" "Mr. Bennett?" Janet appeared at the door. "Your father is here, with the police." Richard Bennett walked in, flanked by two detectives. His face was a mask of sorrow. "I'm sorry, son, but when I discovered what you'd done, I had to report it." "You bastard," Marcus whispered. "You're framing me." "Officers," Richard said sadly, "I have proof that my son has been embezzling funds for years. I tried to handle it privately, but with these new revelations—" "Mr. Bennett," one detective stepped forward. "We need you to come with us." Angela grabbed Marcus's arm. "You can't arrest him. This is all fake." "Ma'am," the detective said kindly, "please don't interfere." Eleanor's voice cut through the tension. "Before anyone goes anywhere, I suggest you look at this." She held up a USB drive. "Security footage from last night, showing exactly who accessed those records and when." Richard's face changed. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Eleanor's smile was cold. "I had cameras installed in the server room years ago, after that unfortunate incident with the Johnson merger. Remember that, Richard? When files mysteriously disappeared." The detectives looked at each other. "Plus," Rebecca added, "our tech team just confirmed the records were altered. We have the digital fingerprints to prove it." Richard Bennett turned to run, but security was already there. "Officers," Eleanor said calmly, "I believe you're arresting the wrong Mr. Bennett." As the detectives led Richard away, Marcus sank into a chair. "My own father. He tried to send me to prison." Angela knelt beside him. "He failed. You're going." "To be okay. The shareholder meeting is still tomorrow," he rubbed his face. "Even with Dad arrested, the Whitmores might have enough votes." "Then we fight," Eleanor said firmly. "I'm calling every shareholder I know. Rebecca, start reaching out to the media. We need to get the truth out there." Michael appeared in the doorway. "Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this." He held up his phone. Social media was exploding with Truscon Save Marcus Bennett hashtags. Young investors were pledging to buy stock, supporting the CEO who chose love over corporate politics. The company's younger employees were sharing stories of Marcus's leadership, his support for diversity and innovation. "The people are with you," Michael said. "Now we just need the shareholders to listen." Victoria Whitmore chose that moment to sashay into the room. Well, what a mess, but don't worry, our offer still stands. Marry me, Marcus, and all this goes away." Angela had had enough. She stood up facing Victoria. "You really don't get it, do you? Look around. Your whole world is changing. The days of backroom deals and arranged marriages are over. Marcus is building something new here, a company that cares about more than just money and status. How dare you lecture me, you insignificant— She's right, Marcus interrupted, standing up. The world is changing, Victoria, and tomorrow, at the shareholder meeting, we're going to prove it. After Victoria stormed out, Eleanor turned to Angela. That was quite a speech. I meant every word. I know you did, dear. Eleanor smiled. Which is exactly why you should be the one to give it again tomorrow, in front of the shareholders. Me? Angela's eyes widened. But I'm not— You're the heart of this story, Marcus said softly. The reason I want to change this company, make it better. Will you speak for us? Angela looked around the room. At Marcus, who had risked everything for love. At Eleanor, who had risen from secretary to society queen. At Michael, representing a new generation ready to break down old barriers. Yes, she said. I'll speak, and they're going to listen. That night, after the lawyers and PR teams finally left, Marcus and Angela stood at his office window looking out at the city lights. No matter what happens tomorrow, he said, I want you to know something. Choosing you. Choosing love. It's the best decision I ever made. Angela leaned against him. We're going to win tomorrow. How can you be so sure? Because love is stronger than hate. Truth is stronger than lies. She smiled up at him. And our story is stronger than their prejudice. Outside the building, reporters were still camped out, waiting for the next development in the scandal. But up in that quiet office, Marcus and Angela held each other, drawing strength for the battle ahead. Tomorrow would decide everything, the company's future, their future. But tonight, they had each other. And sometimes, love really is enough. The morning of the shareholder meeting dawned bright and clear. Angela stood in front of her mirror, wearing a borrowed suit from Eleanor Bennett. Her hands shook as she tried to fasten her necklace. Let me help, Michael said, coming up behind her. He clasped the necklace, the same simple silver chain she'd worn for 20 years. You're going to be great, Mom. I'm going to throw up. No, you're not. He turned her to face him. You're Angela Washington. You raised me alone, worked 3 jobs to put me through school, and never let anyone tell you what you couldn't do. Those shareholders, they're just people, and you're going to make them listen. A knock at the door revealed Marcus and Eleanor, both looking sharp in their business attire. Ready? Marcus asked, taking her hand. No, but let's do it anyway. The Bennett Industries conference center was packed. Shareholders had flown in from around the world for this vote. Camera crews lined the walls, broadcasting live. James Whitmore was already at the podium when they arrived, painting a dire picture of the company's future. The recent scandals have shaken investor confidence, he was saying. We need stable, traditional leadership to restore trust. My daughter Victoria. Eleanor leaned close to Angela. He's been talking for 20 minutes about traditional values. The young shareholders looked ready to revolt. She was right. Angela could see the divide in the room. Older shareholders in conservative suits nodding along with Whitmore, younger ones checking their phones and rolling their eyes. Victoria took the podium next, wearing a cream-colored suit that probably cost more than Angela's car. Change is dangerous, she declared. This company was built on family values, on doing things the right way, the proper way. We can't let scandal and impropriety destroy that legacy. Marcus squeezed Angela's hand as Victoria continued her speech about tradition and propriety. Finally, it was their turn. Before the vote, Marcus said, standing up, I'd like someone to speak on my behalf, someone who represents not just where this company has been, but where it could go. Angela? The room burst into whispers as Angela walked to the podium. She could hear Victoria's scoff, see the dismissive looks from the older shareholders, but she also saw the younger faces watching her with hope. She saw Eleanor's encouraging smile, Michael's proud grin, and she saw Marcus looking at her like she was the only person in the room. My name is Angela Washington, she began. Until last week, I was a cab driver. Before that, I was a waitress, a cleaning lady, a night shift worker at a convenience store. I did whatever it took to give my son a better life. She paused, looking around the room. Some of you probably think I don't belong here. That I'm not. Good enough for your world, your company, or Marcus Bennett? And 25 years ago, I believed that too. I let other people's prejudice and fear tear me away from the man I loved. The room was silent now, everyone leaning forward. But here's what I've learned since then. Love doesn't care about bank accounts or social status. Real leadership isn't about maintaining the status quo. It's about having the courage to change it. And success? True success isn't just about profits. It's about making the world better for everyone, not just the privileged few. She turned to face the older shareholders directly. You're afraid of change. I understand that. But look around. This room. Look at your children, your grandchildren. They're ready for a new kind of business leader. Someone who measures wealth not just in dollars, but in human dignity. Someone who sees talent and potential in places you never thought to look. Angela gestured to her son. My son Michael graduated top of his class from MIT. Now he's bringing his brilliant mind to your green energy division. But 25 years ago, people like us weren't welcome in your boardrooms. We didn't fit your idea of what success looked like. She took a deep breath. Marcus Bennett is trying to change that. Not just by loving me, but by believing that this company can be more than it is. That profit and purpose can go hand in hand. That diversity isn't just a buzzword. It's the key to innovation and growth. Victoria stood up, interrupting. This is ridiculous. She's not even a shareholder. She has no right. Actually, Eleanor Bennett's voice rang out, she is a shareholder as of this morning. Everyone turned to Eleanor, who smiled serenely. I transferred 1 million shares to Angela's name. A wedding gift, you might say. The room erupted. Angela stared at Eleanor in shock. Mom, Marcus whispered, we're not even engaged. Details. Eleanor waved her hand. Continue, dear. Angela turned back to the podium, her heart racing. I am a shareholder now. And as a shareholder, I'm asking you to look to the future, not the past. To choose innovation over tradition, courage over fear, love over prejudice. She looked at Marcus. 25 years ago, I walked away from love because I was afraid. Afraid of what people would think. Afraid I wasn't good enough. I won't make that mistake again. And neither should this company. The room was silent for a moment. Then from the back, someone started clapping. More people joined in, until the applause was thunderous. Young shareholders stood up cheering. Angela saw tears in some of the older women's eyes. Even a few of the conservative board members were nodding thoughtfully. James Whitmore grabbed the microphone. This is all very touching, but we're here to vote on the future of Bennett Industries. Sentiment won't save this company. No, Marcus said, standing beside Angela, but courage will. Vision will. Love will. He turned to address the room. My father tried to frame me because he was afraid of change. The Whitmores want to take over because they're afraid of the future. But I'm not afraid anymore, he took Angela's hand. This woman taught me that love is worth fighting for. That doing the right thing matters more than doing the expected thing. And that true wealth isn't about money. It's about having the courage to follow your heart. Eleanor stood up. I call for the vote. Security handed out electronic voting devices. The next 5 minutes were the longest of Angela's life. Finally, the results appeared on the big screen. Marcus Bennett, 52%. Whitmore Coalition, 48%. The room erupted again. Victoria stormed out, her father following. Young shareholders rushed forward to congratulate Marcus, but he only had eyes for Angela. We did it, he whispered, pulling her close. No, she smiled. You did it, by being brave enough to choose love. Eleanor appeared beside them, dabbing her eyes. Well done, both of you. Though I do hope you'll make me look prophetic about that. Wedding gifts soon, Marcus laughed. Mom, we've only been back together for a week. 25 years and a week, Angela corrected softly. He looked at her, his eyes full of love. Marry me. What? Marry me. Not for the shareholders, not for the company. Just because I love you, and I never want to waste another day without you. Angela looked around the crowded room, at the cameras filming everything, at the shareholders watching with interest, at her son grinning from ear to ear. It wasn't the most private or romantic proposal, but then, nothing about. Their love story had been conventional. Yes, she said simply, The room broke into cheers again. Eleanor was already on her phone, presumably calling wedding planners. Michael hugged them both, but Marcus and Angela barely noticed any of it. They were lost in each other's eyes, making up for 25 years of lost time with a single kiss. Love had won. Not just their personal love story, but love's power to change hearts, change companies, change the world. And somewhere in the crowd, watching with tears in her eyes, a young intern from a working-class family saw her own future possibilities expanding. Because sometimes fairy tales do come true. Sometimes love really does conquer all. 6 months later, Angela stood in the bridal suite of the Plaza Hotel, looking at herself in the mirror. Her wedding dress was simple but elegant, Eleanor's gift, though Angela had insisted on choosing the style herself. "You look beautiful," Ruby said, adjusting the veil, "like a real princess." "I don't want to be a princess." Angela smoothed the white silk. "I just want to be me." The door opened and Michael came in, handsome in his tuxedo. "Ready, Mum?" Everyone's waiting. Instead of the huge society wedding Victoria Whitmore had once planned for Marcus, they'd chosen something smaller, more intimate. Just family and close friends, though the press was camped outside, eager for photos of what they were calling the love story of the year. "How's Marcus?" Angela asked. "Nervous." Michael grinned. "He's checked his tie about 50 times. The past 6 months had been a whirlwind. Richard Bennett had taken a plea deal admitting to his crimes. He was serving his sentence at a minimum security prison, where he refused to see any of his family. The Whitmores had sold their shares and moved their business overseas. Last Angela heard, Victoria was dating a prince in Monaco. But the real changes had happened at Bennett Industries. Under Marcus's leadership, the company had launched major initiatives in green energy and urban development. Michael's team was revolutionizing sustainable technology. The stock price had never been higher. "Ms. Washington?" Janet peeked in. "It's time." "Actually," Ruby said with a smile, "in about 10 minutes, it won't be Ms. Washington anymore." Angela took one last look in the mirror. The woman who looked back at her wasn't just a cab driver anymore, but she wasn't quite a society woman either. She was something new, something uniquely herself. The ceremony was being held in the Plaza's grand ballroom. As Angela walked down the aisle on Michael's arm, she saw all the people who had become part of her story. Eleanor, dabbing her eyes with a silk handkerchief. Rebecca, who had become like a sister. Her friends from the cab company, looking slightly uncomfortable in their formal wear but beaming with pride. And Marcus, standing at the altar, looking at her like she was the only person in the world. "Who gives this woman to be married?" the minister asked. Michael's voice was strong and clear. "I do." As Angela took her place beside Marcus, he whispered, "You're beautiful." "You've checked your tie too many times," she whispered back. He laughed softly, and just like that, her nerves melted away. The minister spoke about love that transcends boundaries, about courage and second chances. But Angela barely heard him. She was lost in Marcus's eyes, thinking about their journey, from study sessions in the Columbia Library to secret dates at Bella Luna, from tearful goodbyes at graduation to that fateful cab ride 25 years later. Every moment had led them here. "The rings, please." Michael stepped forward, holding the simple gold bands they'd chosen together. "I, Marcus Bennett, take you. Angela Washington." His voice cracked slightly as he slipped the ring on her finger. Angela had to blink back tears as she did the same. "By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife." Their kiss was sweet and tender, full of promise. The room erupted in cheers. At the reception, Eleanor clinked her glass for attention. When Marcus first brought Angela home in college, she said, "I knew she was special. It took 25 years and a lot of drama, but my son finally figured out what I knew back then, that true love is worth fighting for." She raised her glass. "To Marcus and Angela, may their courage inspire others to follow their hearts." Later, as they danced their first dance as husband and wife, Marcus held Angela close. "Happy?" he asked. "Perfect." She looked around the room. "Though I still can't believe all this is real sometimes." "Which part? The fancy wedding? The society life? No. She touched his face. The fact that we got our second chance. That love. Won. Across the room, Michael was dancing with a young engineer from his team, both of them laughing. Eleanor was deep in conversation with Ruby, probably planning some charity event. Two worlds, once so separate, now beautifully merged. You know what this means? Marcus said suddenly. What? You can't drive a cab anymore. The wife of a CEO. Angela put her finger to his lips. Actually, I'm keeping my cab license. Maybe not to drive full time, but it reminds me of who I am, where I came from. He kissed her finger. I love who you are. I love every part of your story. Our story, she corrected. As they danced, photographers captured the moment through the windows. Tomorrow, their picture would be in every paper again. The billionaire and the cab driver, living their fairy tale. But the real story wasn't in those photos. The real story was in the way Marcus held her like she was precious, in the pride on Michael's face as he watched them dance. In the tears of joy in Eleanor's eyes, the real story was about love that refuses to be bounded by class or color or time, about second chances and happily ever afters that come to those brave enough to fight for them. Later that night, as their car took them to the airport for their honeymoon, Angela leaned against Marcus's shoulder. 25 years, she mused. Was it worth the wait? He kissed her softly. Every second. Though let's not wait that long for anything else. She laughed. Deal. Outside, the city lights twinkled like stars. The same lights Angela had seen countless times through her cab window, driving the streets of New York. But tonight, they seemed to shine just for them, celebrating a love that had finally found its way home. I love you, Mrs. Bennet, Marcus whispered. Angela smiled. The name was new, but the feeling, the deep, unshakable certainty that she was exactly where she belonged, was 25 years in the making. I love you too, she said. Always have, always will. And as their car drove into the night, Angela knew that while their fairy tale wedding was ending, their real story, the story of two hearts beating as one, of love conquering all obstacles, was just beginning. Some said it was like a movie, the billionaire falling in love with the cab driver. But Angela knew it was better than any movie. It was real, messy and complicated and beautiful and real, just like love itself.